In this video, we're going to take a trip to North London, to a place called Hampstead, and over the course of the video we're going to have a mooch around the streets, look for a bit of history, and then I'll show you a few paintings I've done of the area over the years. During my research I found out that the word Hampstead is actually an Anglo-Saxon word for homestead, which sort of makes sense really. To get us rolling, here's the tube station I've just exited. A lovely building designed in 1907, and when I first came here I thought, well, that might be the first thing I'd like to paint. So here we are, my painting of Hampstead Tube Station. Now let's look at a painting by somebody else, and on this spot a pre-Raphaelite artist called Madox Brown painted this picture here, and it's called Work. And if there was ever a picture that does what it says on the tin, it's this picture here, essentially a gang of road workers. And when I visited the site I noticed there was a drain more or less where they were digging, so I wondered if this was the original drain that Madox painted way back when. We shall never know. Well, the only art you can see today is this rather charming carved bird, and a bit further up through the gap you can see that there, that's the Hollybush pub. A while back I was commissioned to paint it, you know, a lovely job. However, the day I did go it was bitterly cold and I was shaking all over the place. Thankfully the staff took pity on this poor artist and fed me free coffees, for which I will be forever grateful. So from the Hollybush I continued up the hill to Mount Vernon and took note of the area. As you walk round Hampstead you can't but notice the huge amount of plaques on walls where famous people used to live. And here on Mount Vernon is no exception. I came across the house of Robert Louis Stevenson. Yes, I can imagine the rather refined Dr. Jekyll feeling rather at home here in Hampstead. And when Mr. Hyde takes the reins, he can simply jump on the tube. Camden Town's only a few stops away, and there he can have a pretty good fight night out. Yes, what's not to like? Anyway, now we find ourselves in the glorious leafy Holly Walk. And it's here in Holly Walk we have this rather curious Catholic church. It was opened in 1816. It was the first Catholic church to be built in Hampstead since the 16th century. So they sort of quietly pushed it into this little terrace. And I enjoyed this church and St. John's behind so much I decided to put them into this painting. And this other church is called St. John at Hampstead, and that's where we're going next. This version of the church goes back to the 18th century, and as is a rather notable area, the graveyard has some rather notable residents. Though there are two I'm particularly keen to look at. The first is this chap John Harrison, who finally sorted out the problem of longitude. So if you ever used a map in your life, including Google Maps, you owe him a great debt. So in honour of John Harrison, here are the coordinates to find him. Now, in amongst all the shrubbery, there's another John I'm looking for, and here he is, tucked away with his nearest and dearest, and this is the grave of John Constable, the great artist. Probably most famous for painting this picture here, the Hay Wain. It all seems rather sad he's tucked away in this little corner here, though you never know, he may well have approved. It may just have appealed to his Suffolk sensibilities. So now, moving on from St. John in Hampstead, I thought I might as well get a bit of work done myself, so it's time to have a look around. After a bit of a wander about, I come across this place here. This is Flask Walk, and it's absolutely brimming with life. In truth, it's not much more than an alleyway, though every inch seems to be given over to people enjoying the spring sunshine in one kind of eatery or another. To top it all off, you'll discover this rather fine antique shop, and on the day I visited they seemed to be doing a rather brisk trade in all sorts of things, including glasses, books, pottery ducks, and of course the ubiquitous grandfather clock. Being rather charmed by the place, I decided to set myself up just across the street and sort of out of the way. It wasn't going to be a large picture, just something quite small and just enough to get some notes down. What I really liked about this scene was that late afternoon shadow sort of cutting across those buildings. Once I'd done, I thought I had enough in the bag, perhaps to consider a larger oil painting in the future. Let's see how we get on. Well, I hope you enjoyed my quick trip to Hampstead for the day. Thanks for joining me. And if you did enjoy it, why not subscribe or perhaps join my newsletter, where with each one there's a free draw to win an original painting. That's all from me for now. Many thanks for watching.